So here's a video on the homework explained, and we're going to be doing the odd ones on this video. So number 1 says state the domain values of number 3 below. So what does domain mean? The x values, the input values. So when we look at all these coordinates, what we're really stating are your x values. So this, So this is a -3, -2, -1, 0. Those are the domain values of number 3 below. So let's write those down up here. Now if they would have asked for the range values, then that would be the y values, which is number 2. But we're doing the odd ones here. Let's jump to number 3. So the question is, instead of yes or no, let's say, is it a function or just a relation? And then explain why. So number 3, is that a function or a relation? It's a function. It's a perfectly functional machine. It's working, okay? You never plug in the same number twice and get out different answers. You plugged in -3, you plugged in -2, you plugged in -1, plugged in 0. You never plugged in the same number twice and got out different answers. So it's definitely a function. And why? Because we never plugged in the same number twice and got out different answers. So there it is. We never plugged in the same number twice and got out different answers. I mean, or you could have also said for each input there's exactly one output. Let's go to number 5. Is that a function or a relation? Is it a perfectly working machine, or is it broken? It's broken. Why is it broken? And we're doing the odd ones. Yeah, we're on number 5, this guy right here. So what do you guys say? Is it working or is it broken? It's broken. Now, so is this a function or just a relation? It's a relation. How do we know, like, why? Why is it a relation? Because -1 has 3 different answers. You plugged in a -1, you got out a -2. You plugged in a -1, you got out a 5. Plugged in a -1, got out a 0. So number 5 is a relation. I apologize, I messed up on these numbers. But anyway, yeah, number 5 is just a relation. I want to put R. And why is it just a relation? Because the input -1 gave us 3 different outputs. So there it is, it's a relationship because the input -1 gave us 3 different outputs. That means the machine's broken, so it's just a relation. Number 7, is it a function or just a relation? Function, okay? You plugged in -4, plugged in 0, plugged in 4, plugged in 8. You never plugged in the same number twice and got out different answers. So this is definitely a function. And for the reasoning, we could say for each input, there's exactly one output. Let's go to the next odd question. We have a graph here. And how could we check if this is a function or relation? There's a certain test. Vertical line test. So let's draw a vertical line onto a blue line that's vertical. You could use your pencil and just take your pencil and move it from side to side. And if it ever touches at more than one spot, then it fails the vertical line test. But as you can see, this never touches at more than one spot. So it passes the vertical line test. So what do we say? It is a function. So we say yes. Is a relation a function? Yes, it is. It's a function. Why? Passes vertical line test. Number 10. Is this a function? No. It's a relation. That's right. Why? Because it fails the vertical line test. So is a relation a function? You say no. It's just a relation. It's just a relation. Why? Because it fails the vertical line test. Or you could even be more specific and say that for the input 2, you get the output 1 and -1. So you could be very specific and say, for the input 2, we get 1 and -1 as outputs. Or you could just say it fails the vertical line test. How about this last one down here, the circle? Is that a function or just a relation?
It's a relation.
It's a relation. It fails the vertical line test. And I just realized that I did number 10, which was even. Whoops. So this one is a relation. Fails vertical line test. Let's flip this over to the back side. So on number 13, when you're checking if this is a function or just a relation, the input -3 gave you the output 2. Then right here, the input -3 gave you a different output. So that is not a function. It's just a relation. Why? Because a single input -3 gave you two different outputs. Moving on, number 15 over here. Is this a function? You plug in a -3, you get out a 3, but then you plug in a -3 again, and you get out a 3 again. So this is a perfectly functional machine. It works. So this is a function. Why? Because for each input, there's exactly one output. And number 17 down here, if you have different inputs giving you the same output, it is a relation. That is false, because we've seen the example of when you have like 1, 2, 3 on your inputs, giving you 3, 3, 3 on your outputs. An example of that would be y equals 0x plus 3. So it is possible to have different inputs giving you the same output, 3, all the time. Number 19, the input values are also known as the x values, or the domain. The output values are also known as the y values, or the range. So that wraps up this video on the odd ones. Check the other video for the even.